Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I am your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. This is episode 21, Bowie. But first, a little bit about the why. Why am I here talking about the 1984 All-Star Game and sports cards and pop culture? It began as all of this began as an expression of self-care, recognizing that about 10 months into the pandemic, I was rabbi, I was husband, I was father, and there was no Dave. I would work out, but it was mostly like you brush your teeth because you got to. There was no room to feel nourished or nurtured, and it just wasn't working. And when I thought about it, it had been years and years and years and years that this was coming, that I just had, I wouldn't say I'd lost my sense of self, but my sense of self had become so identified by my position and by my role in my family and in my community that I didn't know where Dave fit. And in that space, cards came back in, as I think they did for so many people during the pandemic. And it's shown up in lots of ways for me, including building an 80 card master set, PSA graded 80 cards, 60 rosters, 30 from the AL, 30 from the NL, the 10 coaches/managers from both leagues given us 70, the 5 announcers, the 2 honorary captains, the 2 who threw out the first pitch, and in the stands, I believe in the second inning, they caught him there, the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio, giving me 80 cards on display in my man cave here, and I can't wait to share it with you very, very soon. A little something not from the mailbag, but something in print and online to share with you today. This is the Washington Jewish Week. It's like every other Jewish periodical in every other city in America. Solid, mainstream. I wouldn't say it's cutting edge, but it's just fine. It's actually, I got some good writing. I got a call a couple weeks ago from one of the writers who had seen that I had put in the Bethel bulletin that I'm trying to start a card club at the temple for all ages, all backgrounds, all cards, just trying to bring people together in a social way, starting to try to start this card club in the community. So far, no takers, but I'm optimistic and I'm patient, so we'll get it off the ground. Anyway, she reached out to me and wanted to learn more, and actually, it was a wonderful interview. She asked terrific questions, really did her homework, and the article was printed this week. You can find it online. You can also, I'm going to hold up a photo of it right here. There I am, actually in front of my 84 All-Star Game display, rocking the Topps t-shirt, holding up 2 of my favorite members of the tribe, 1940 play ball Hank Greenberg, 1966 Sandy Koufax. Why Koufax 66? That's his last season. It's coming right after that Yom Kippur decision not to pitch. So the headline of the article, if you skip ahead to page 23, it says, "At Bethel Hebrew Congregation, Rabbi Spinrad pitches hobbies." And it's sweet, right? I'm just talking about the wholesome fun of collecting cards. Let me get this in front of the camera so you can see it. Right, really nice, full page. She did her homework, found some other cool cards to share with the readers. Here we go. Rabbi Daniel Spinrad had a realization during the COVID-19 pandemic. Rabbi Daniel Spinrad also reads the headlines. I've been around a long time, and I've never been called Daniel. So it's like this great moment when I was super excited, like, oh, this is so cool. They did an article for the paper, and then they called me Daniel. And for a second, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. I was super bummed. I felt disrespected. And then I'm just like, lighten up, Francis. Have a sense of humor about it. Don't take yourself so seriously. This is all a ride. This is all a game. So they called me Daniel. I wrote him a note. They actually fixed it in the online versions. Whatever. I still think it's sweet. And I think it's a good sign of my progress. And I'm like, I flash just for a second, that feel, a rage of disrespect. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Anyway, if you're liking what we're doing, like, subscribe, leave a comment so I know you're out there. If you leave me a comment, I'm going to bribe you today. I want to know you're out there. I will send you your very own Rated Rabbi sticker. They're good ones. Look, they're good on water bottles. You see, I have mine right there, just above my Van Halen sticker. They're awesome. Leave a comment. I'll send you a sticker. I promise. Subscribe. Best of all, tell somebody. Say, hey, there's this guy just riffing on the 1980s, the 1984 All-Star Game. Check him out. All right, Bowie Kuhn is the 5th commissioner of Major League Baseball after serving as a long time as legal counsel for MLB. He gets the position in 1969, fields the job, holds the position 1969 through 1984. Game is just about to start. Camera shows him on the field with the incoming commissioner, who we talked about 2 episodes ago, Peter Ueberroth. But this one's about you, Bowie. I'm going to show you a Bowie Kuhn card to get us started, because it helps to paint the picture of who the man was. Bowie was sort of like this, when I close my eyes and think of like authority figure, look at this guy. Look at this card. This is a Panini Golden Age card from 2014. There he is, often called imperious, arrogant. You can look at this card. It's like got the gilded frame around it. Bespectacled Kuhn, dimpled chin, arms folded, a strapping 6'5" authoritarian. Kuhn oversees a time of tremendous growth in Major League Baseball, yet he's known for this quote. He said, I believe in the Rip Van Winkle theory that a man from 1910 must be able to wake up after being asleep for 70 years, walk into a ballpark, and understand baseball perfectly. I mean, I guess he's not talking about like, oh, there's black people on this field, there's Latins, and I think he just meant the actual game, the dimensions and the rules. But for this guy who really subscribed to this Rip Van Winkle theory, Bowie oversees a time of tremendous change and growth in the sport. On his watch, baseball expands. In 1969, adds 4 new teams to go to 26 teams. 26 or 24? 24, because then Toronto comes. Okay. Tell me in the comments. You see the limits of my research. But in 1969, they do add San Diego and Montreal, the Kansas City Royals, and the Seattle Pilots, who after just a season, of course, move to Milwaukee and become the Milwaukee Brewers. Under his reign, baseball moves from just a single division in the AL and the NL to 4 divisions, AL West and East, NL West and East. No, 7-7, 6-6 was later. I'm stuck back there. Help me. During his reign, baseball triples in attendance. Revenue soars. Of course, contracts soar as well. Of course, Curt Flood challenges the reserve clause, probably the biggest legal battle among the many under Bowie's reign. Flood takes his case all the way to the Supreme Court. He loses, but of course, Flood does pave the way for free agency to come. Andy Messerschmidt and Dave McNally, and then Jim Catfish Hunter with the New York Yankees. Of course, the DH happens under Bowie, 1973. The designated Jew, Ron Blumberg. A few years ago, I wrote a paper about the DH, and I changed my position. Forever and ever, I was a Crash Davis, Bull Durham, ban the DH like Bill Lee purist. But I changed. I think probably 2016 is when I wrote this, and I just have a different position than I used to. I'm tired of seeing that wasted batter. I'm tired of the 2 on, 2 out, and the pitchers coming up. It's okay. they don't hit. With the rare exception of a Drysdale or the rare exception of a Madison Bumgarner, pitchers don't hit. I don't think the strategy, the double switch, I'm sorry. And I'm a purist. I really think, I try to be, I think there's sort of an ethical purity to the or maybe moral purity to being a anti-DH guy, but it's not better baseball, and I changed my ways. Now, openers and a starter who's never left in for the third time through the order, I don't care what the numbers say, that makes the sport a little bit more sucky in my opinion. So Kuhn is accused of being arrogant and imperious, and simultaneously he is derided as being in the palm of the hands of owners, which I find in my research a little bit odd because, man, he battled with Chuck Finley, that left-handed pitcher for the California Angels, Charlie O. Finley, the owner of the Athletics. When Finley tried, he knew that he was going to lose his guys. He knew he was going to lose Raleigh Fingers and Joe Rudy and Vida Blue to free agency, so he tried to sell them. He tried to sell off, while the Boston Red Sox were in Oakland, he sold Fingers and Rudy to the Red Sox and sold Vida Blue to the Yankees. But in a moment, the first time actually since an owner had exercised the best interests of the game clause since the 1919 Black Sox scandal, Kuhn invoked the best interests of the game clause, his right to invoke it, and blocked those 3 sales to richer franchise. He also battled George Steinbrenner. No, that's not surprising. Surprising was that he didn't battle him more. He did suspend Steinbrenner for 2 years, later reduced to 15 months for making illegal campaign contributions to Richard Nixon. That sounds like perfect. Illegal contributions from Steinbrenner to Nixon. Nothing about that sentence surprises me. Bowie suspends him 2 years, later shortened to 15 months. He also fines Ted Turner of the Atlanta Braves for tampering. And yet, whatever wranglings he had, you cannot disagree with me. Bowie helped make a lot of rich people a lot more rich. They made a lot of money. In fact, if Bowie's tenure had a symbol, it would be the dollar sign. A lot of the changes, right? Introducing the divisions, introducing nighttime postseason baseball, introducing nighttime World Series baseball, introducing nighttime weekend World Series baseball. 1976, of course, that famous story of it being frigid in Cincinnati and Bowie refusing to wear an overcoat, trying to prove a point while temperatures are hovering in the high 30s. It's later actually revealed he's wearing long johns under his suit, but he insisted that MLB should be playing its postseason, its World Series at night. Owners were actually against it until that Sunday night game. Those overnight ratings came in and the numbers were through the roof. And you know what those owners did? Well, they sang a different tune after they saw that money. So it's been said, I've received comments that I tend to go a long way on my tangents to prove a point. I insist it's keeping in the finest rabbinic tradition, the Talmudic tradition, to digress and digress from digression before finally meandering back and reinforcing my original point. Bowie made a lot of money and they sang a different tune when they saw those numbers come in. So I like to think that I was in on the ground floor of Eddie Murphy 11, 12 years old, 13 years old. I'm not going out on Saturday nights. I'm doing my best till I can stay up late and I can watch Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live. And Sinaloa Middle School, come in the next day on Monday, 2 days later, and be trying to remember all the bits with my buddies and like, I am Gumby, damn it. All of that. Like, Eddie was my guy. Oh my God, from the jump. 1982, Eddie releases his first cassette. Not Eddie Murphy comedian, the one it's the yellow video box where he's wearing the red leather suit, and not the 1987 Eddie Murphy Raw where he's wearing the purple leather suit, but the 1982 eponymously entitled Eddie Murphy cassette. If you don't remember it, that's okay. Let's take a look. There it is. Eddie got the way open collared, like brown leather shirt, bow tie around the neck. Of course, that little pink flower tucked behind his left ear. Man, I listened. I wore this thing out on my Iowa Walkman, laughing in my bed when I'm supposed to be going to sleep at night. So I revisited it. I revisited it this week. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of it does not hold up. I mean, maybe if you're 11 or 12 in 1982, it works. I'll be honest. Some of it has not aged well. I'm not even going to say out loud the name of the first track on the tape. Had some funny bits. What's crazy, it's just I remember every beat of every bit of this tape, man. I just wore it out. Track 7, if you look closely, track 7 is entitled Boogie in Your Butt. I'll put a link to this one in the show notes when I'm done. Boogie in Your Butt is not a comedy bit from a stage as much as it is a rap, a song that is recorded by Eddie Murphy. And it's got a great hook and kind of the sexy sax. And in fact, the B-side of Boogie in Your Butt, just the instrumental, is nominated for a Grammy. I think Best R&B Instrumental. I don't know if that was a primetime Grammy presentation, but I imagine, and the nominees are Eddie Murphy for Boogie in Your Butt. So it's kind of sketchy, like the chorus goes, in your butt, the boogie in your butt, the boogie in your butt. And then Eddie's rapping and he sounds like Curtis Blow, or he was like Melly Mel. That Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And so there's the chorus in your butt. And then he goes, he's talking about all the things you can put in your butt. He goes, put a tree in your butt, put a bumblebee in your butt, put a clock in your butt, put a big rock in your butt. It's true. And then in between the things you can put in your butt, Eddie's also pretending to talk to the singer and offering commentary. He's like, that's nasty. You go around putting things in your butt. I'm not gonna put no. You're just getting paid for that. So it's going on and on, goes back and forth, and then in the last time through, after Eddie refusing to put things in his butt, and the last time he offers commentary, he says, "What's this? $100 bill? Well, step aside." It said I'll go a long way on a tangent. Those owners sang a different tune when Bowie put money in their pockets. We'll step aside. To which I say to you, 8:37 p.m. What's 8:37 p.m.? 8:37 p.m. is when the World Series starts. To which I say to you, my son doesn't really care about baseball 8:37 p.m. How am I going to stay up till 11:30 at night every night, right? It's like this sick relationship. Baseball saying, well, we know you like it. We know you're going to suffer for it. And guess what? They're wrong. They're wrong. Baseball, how many young kids watch baseball like we watched baseball when we were kids. I'm right. I'm right about this. Basketball and football crush baseball with the kids, and it's sad. Do you see kids playing baseball in the neighborhood like you used to? I don't. Everything changes. I understand that, but it's sad because baseball is a beautiful, beautiful game. And 8:37 p.m. What's this? $100 bill? Well, step aside. Anyway, 1966, when Bowie is still counsel, not yet the commissioner, Ted Williams' Hall of Fame induction speech, which, if you go back, is 3 minutes long. Maybe the greatest hitter of all time, Hall of Fame, so much more low-key than it is today, stands out there in the sunshine. 3 minutes, tops 3 minutes. And one of the things Williams says, it's time for Major League Baseball to recognize the Negro Leagues, the great players who were kept out of the major leagues because of segregation. Bowie actually is listening. Hall of Fame Board of Trustees meets and they decide against it. They decide against inducting Negro League players into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And the main point of their opposition is a technicality that these players, most of these players, never played 10 years in the major leagues. You know, we call it a technicality then. You know, we can just kind of capably call it today racism. Hiding behind a ridiculous rule that was they only weren't able to play for 10 years because of segregation. They hid behind the rule. Did not age well. This is where Bowie is genius, though. What he does is he accepts a compromise. The board comes up with the compromise. You know, the Hall of Fame Board of Trustees says we're going to have a separate wing for the Negro League players. A separate wing. Mr. Plessy, may I introduce you to Mr. Ferguson? And Mr. Ferguson, this is Mr. Plessy, separate but equal. Holy guacamole, they missed on that one. Bowie's cool though, man. He knows when they make that announcement it's going to be hugely unpopular, so he plays it cool. There is uproar. Come on, it's like in the late 60s, early 70s. It's not going to fly. You're going to have a separate wing. Hello, this is not a colored water fountain, bus station, balcony, movie racism. This isn't going to work. And lo and behold, the Hall of Fame, better late than never, figures it out. And who is the first ball player inducted? Let's take a look at one of the most gorgeous cards of the 20th century, 1953 tops. Satchel Paige, card 220. Oh man, the only thing that would make this card better would be as if he was a Cleveland Indian, but never you mind. I think this is such a cool card. I love the artwork on this one. PSA 1. Look at that card. PSA 1. Low grade, beautiful cards. I think low grade, beautiful cards like this one are my very favorite cards of all. The card is beautiful. Pay no mind to the number in the corner. I don't collect plastic slabs. I don't collect paper labels. I collect pieces of Americana, pieces of pop art. And to me, this card is every bit a piece of art. Why the one? You're curious? Let me flip it over. You make up your mind. You see that paper loss in the center? It looks like it was probably glued into an album at some point. But for what I paid for this card, man, it is a tremendous, tremendous baseball card. Satchel Paige, 1953 tops. After 71, when Paige is elected into the Hall of Fame, 1972, we have Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard, Homestead Grays. 1973, of course, because of the tragic death of Roberto Clemente, he headlines that class. Immediate induction into the Hall. Warren Spahn is also in the 1973 class. Who else is in the 1973 class? This guy, the great Monty Irvin, 1952 tops. What a beautiful, beautiful card. I love how he's in the dugout right there. His hat's kind of the jaunty tilt to the side. Just such a beautiful baseball card. It's too bad they misspelled his name with a Y on the Topps card, but never you mind. 1952 Topps Monty Irvin. Speaking of Monty Irvin, 1974, on Bowie's watch, the great Hank Aaron is approaching the Bambino's lifetime career home run record of 714, about to eclipse it at 715. Braves open the season in Cincinnati. Braves manager Eddie Matthews plans on sitting the hammer during the opening series to give him a shot to break the record in front of his home fans. Bowie steps in. He intercedes, says Matthews must play him at least 2 games in the 3-game series. Matthews, left with no choice, does. Bowie is there in the opener when Aaron ties Babe Ruth with home run number 714. Doesn't homer the rest of the series at Riverfront. They return home to Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium. There in the home opener, April 1974. There was Aaron, but where was Bowie? Bowie had the idiotic temerity to go to Cleveland instead of following Hank Aaron until he broke the record. So this is also like, talk a lot about race, but race and politics are a part of sports. So Bowie's in Cleveland, snubs Aaron, although Aaron later says, I got no time for grudges. I'm Hank Aaron. So he homers, right? We know he homers off Marshall, breaks the record, the all-time home run king, 715. Who is there to celebrate him on behalf of Bowie Kuhn? Monty Irvin, thank you very much. Monty's working in the commissioner's office. He's there. He presents. He's there in the 11 minutes interruption in the game to celebrate Aaron. Every time the commissioner is mentioned, every time you hear Bowie Kuhn, the fans in Atlanta just pour down boos on the field. They're not saying like, Bowie. They're just booing Bowie Kuhn for snubbing their great legend. All right, what else can we talk about? A lot of labor strife during Kuhn's reign. There are strikes in 72 and 76. 81 is the big strike. Only time they actually missed any games at all. They actually missed 38% of the season that year, 1981. 713 games. Baseball stopped on June 12th. There was an agreement on the 31st of July. Baseball resumed August 9th with the All-Star Game, and wouldn't you know it, I have a card for that too. 1982 Fleer, celebrating that 1981 All-Star Game. Who's the MVP of that All-Star Game? Same guy who's going to win the All-Star Game MVP at 1984, the kid, Gary Carter. I love it. Everything just ties together, right? The All-Star Game, the 84 All-Star Game is just like the hub, and for all of Western civilization intersects the 1984 All-Star Game, even this 1982 Fleer. Why were they striking? Money, free agency, teams wanting compensation. I read that reporters actually played some of the games, including the original All-Star Game when it was supposed to be played. They played it at Municipal Stadium. You playing Stratomatic baseball during that. Oh my God, I used to love Strato. What else can I tell you about? It's a split season. There were division winners in the first half and in the second half, which meant for the first time in MLB, there were divisional series of best of 5 in the NL and the AL, then the LCSs, and then the World Series, where, of course, 1981, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the New York Yankees. Because of the strike, the interruption, the decision to play a split season, the teams with the 2 best records, the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals, missed the playoffs completely. Not a perfect system. What else can I tell you as we wrap things up? Dodgers beat the Yankees, as I said. There is a three-way MVP. Ron Cey, Pedro Guerrero, and Steve Yeager. When I went back to watch the clips from that MV presentation, I realized that they had the wrong Steve on the dais. Bob Uecker interviewing Bowie Kuhn right there up in front of the cameras and the lights. Instead of it being Cey, Guerrero, and Yeager, they had the wrong Steve, and it's Cey, Guerrero, and Steve Garvey. Garvey's talking. It feels great to win MVP. Mr. Garvey, you're actually not the MVP. They later did get Yeager on interview for a few words on camera. I don't think he knows he's MVP at the time because he makes no mention. Good-looking guy, Steve Yeager. I think he appeared in Playgirl. In fact, I'm almost sure he appeared in Playgirl. I don't remember the details on that. Also, a Jew. I don't know, by birth, by choice. Good to have him in the tribe. Excellent. Elevates the gene pool. Last thing, let's just end this on one more card because we can. What a fun episode this has been. 1982 Topps. 11-year-old David Spinner has to launch his own little protest again against MLB. I remember, I'm not buying baseball cards. I'm buying fewer baseball cards. And if you look at I have less from 82, which is too bad. So it's a good looking set. Here we have a nice card to close it out. It is the 1981 home run leaders. In the AL, we had the great slugger Mike Schmidt, who led the National League with 31 round trippers. In the AL, it was a four-way tie. Tony Armas, Dwight Evans, Bobby Rich, and Eddie Murray, all with 22. Those numbers 31 and 22 aren't bad when you remember that teams played between 102 and 111 games because of the strike, with the majority playing between 106 and 109. Whew. What a fun journey. We went all over. We talked about Bowie Kuhn, his imperiousness. Talked about Eddie Murphy, owners singing different tunes, $100 bills, boogieing in your butt. We talked about the Negro Leagues, understanding the Hall of Fame, understanding separate but equals, a bad look. We looked at some awesome cards today. We saw that great 53 top satchel, 52 Monty Irvin, 81 strike. What a ride. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want me to send you a sticker, let me know. They're awesome. High quality. If you see me at the National in July, I will absolutely be at the National Wednesday through Saturday. Find me there. I'll promise I'll have a whole stack. I'll give you one or more, whatever you want. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are Jewish and it's your thing, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. I wish each and every one of you a wonderful weekend. And most of all, may you enjoy and may you be blessed with health and long life. So long for now.